Dude, between uncommons, rares, and even some kind of lower tier epic champions, it's not always clear which of those champs you want to throw away in the tavern as food champs and which ones you actually want to hold on to. Now, we're not talking about Reliquary Tender in this video. She's obviously an absolute S tier rare champ, but we are talking about the likes of Ingrid Twiststaff of these Sylvan Watchers. Why are we going to be spotlighting this guy? Because this is one of those champs that you might just want to hold on to equip in a stun set. Now, if you are a very new raid player, what does a stun set do? Well, you put a champ in 4 pieces of stun artifact set gear, and it gives you an 18% chance on hit to apply a stun debuff to the enemy. I'm going to go ahead and highlight Ingrid first and foremost because honestly this guy is so new to the game. He only has 21 reviews at the time of recording this, and so I thought it would be a cool place to start. So Ingrid's kit, he has a double hitter with a chance of placing weak version of decreased defense on the A1. He has an attack all on the A2, also some 10 meter fill on this champ, which is great. Also fills 10 meter based on how many leech debuffs you have applied on each enemy, which is also great because this A3 is another attack all enemies, increase accuracy buff on all allies, which is always fine, and it does actually place that leech debuff for a couple of turns. So 2 skills, each of them on a 3-turn cooldown, fully bucked up. This is just a great candidate to smack in a stun set. We don't obviously have to max him up to level 60, we can just level him up to level 50. That'll do just fine, and he will apply a crap load of extra control for us in things like Sylvan Watchers secret rooms, rare-only secret rooms, Sylvan Watchers faction wars, all of that kind of wave-based content where more obscure rare champs like this can actually find some value. Now, obviously, maxing these guys out and getting them geared up in a stun set and stuff, it's not going to be like the highest priority on your account ever if you're a newer player. You've got bigger fish to fry, you know, legendaries to get up to 60, that kind of thing. But it might just be one of those champs that you want to hold onto for future endeavors. And so let's keep this list trucking along. Another fantastic stun set candidate is going to be Kerzad Deepart. This is a guy, dude, this is a guy I'm so looking forward to actually taking all the way up to level 60. Purely because I pulled this 6-star perfect soul for Kerzad Deepart out of my soul stones recently, so that's going to be sweet. I might as well max him out at that point, even though normally I'd recommend that usually you just leave him at level 50 and he'll do just fine. Single hitter on his A1. He has an attack all on his A2, which again is great. Maximize the amount of chance that you can get that stun debuff applied. Again, it's 18% per hit as long as you've got the stun set up. And then on his A3, he has a 50%, so strong version, increased accuracy buff on all allies for a couple of turns, then attacks all enemies, and also has a chance of placing weak version of decreased defense too. So that's awesome. I also want to point out as well, strong version increased accuracy on a rare champ, really good, right? A lot of your rare champs, like rare only secret rooms and stuff, champs that you're throwing into those kind of secret rooms, they're probably not going to be built perfectly because they're a rare champ that you've built for one thing and one thing only, and that's probably secret rooms, you know? And so having an increased accuracy buff, dude, that actually feels like a really big deal, man. Just super reliable, absolute chad of a ginger dwarf. And if you don't have Kerzad, another that you might want to keep your eye on in the dwarf faction would be Candleguard. And Candleguard, once again, has 2 skills that attack all enemies. She has an attack all and a chance to place Weaken on her A2. And then she has a self-buffer on her A3 before attacking all enemies. That is going to take quite a few skill books to get it down to a 4-turn cooldown, so it's not the greatest, it's not the best, right? A 4-turn cooldown and a 3-turn. It's not completely optimal, but it is an option. She's also an attack-based rare, so she might be a little bit squishier. But yeah, she is a potential candidate for stun set if you find yourself struggling. To be honest, she can be used as a pretty decent secret room nuker and stuff as well. She's one of the better nukers to take up to level 50 if you're still early game and you need some damage dealers for your dwarf faction, but Candleguard is one that's definitely worth a second look, man, and she can work just fine in a stun set too. And hey, man, before we go any further, if you're looking to start with a new raid account, new free-to-play adventure, for example, then make sure you do so by clicking on my promo link down below at the top of the video description box, man. Click that link, sign up using that link, and at level 25 on your account, you will unlock Rector Drath, S tier epic support champ, completely for free as soon as your account hits that level 25. It is one of the best promo links going, and everybody who uses that link to sign up also does help to directly support the channel and support what we got going on over here, so I do seriously appreciate the crap out of it. So I'm going to try and cover every faction, but honestly, Shadowkin just didn't really have that good of a... Unless I'm missing one. If you feel like I'm missing any like really good stun set champions that, you know, people might underrate or overlook, I feel like Shadowkin doesn't have one. But maybe if I'm wrong, you can go ahead and post that down below and just help some folks out. Knight's Revenant does have a couple, starting off with, where is she? Okay, it could actually be Skullcrown. Skullcrown could be the one. She's a very, very good damage dealer. She's a very, very good nuker, right? Both of her skills are actually attack all enemies, one of which has a chance to apply weaken. However, if you're finding that you're replacing her in terms of what your main damage dealer is going to be in your Knights Revenant only teams and stuff like Faction Wars and stuff like that, you can transition her to be something like a damage dealer hybrid, but also have her in that stun set, just because she's spamming out so many AoEs. Her A1 is an attack all in and of itself, which is always awesome. Places an extra hit if the target has more than 50% HP. Now, this is a good time to mention for the newer players out there that even if an attack attacks in twice, for example, if this was literally just attack all enemies 2 times, that does not give you 2 chances to land the stun from the stun set, right? Per ability used or per skill used that attacks enemies, you get 1 chance to land the 18% chance with the stun set to land the stun. Having a double hitter does not increase your probabilities of landing the stun, at least as far as I'm aware. So Skullcrown is an option for that. Most people are going to build Skullcrown as a nuker, let's be honest. But again, if she's being outscaled and you just have some better options that you're working with, then Skullcrown can don the stun set. One that I don't see mentioned that often is a champ I've actually taken up to level 50, and I've quite enjoyed using good old Crimson Slayer, man. She helped me get a little bit of finite progression going until I finally opened some Void Shards. Actually, she got me up to like stage 16 finite normal or something in the first few months of my account, and that's great, you know. It actually allowed me to do some early fusions that otherwise would have been a massive, horrible, disgusting grind. So that's nice, man. She has a triple hitter on the A3 that attacks 3 times at random. And so if 3 of these attacks spread out between 5 enemies in like a wave of enemies, it's actually like 3 chances, 18% chance each, you know, of landing the stun debuff. It's not too bad, right? It's not terrible. And then on the A3, she's also got another attack all enemies here. It isn't a long cooldown and takes up a lot of skill bucks. So maybe she's not the best option. But if, like me, you've taken your Crimson Slayer up to level 50, or maybe even to level 60, I have seen some people do that. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you have, then she can also be an okay stun set candidate if you're still getting some use out of her on your account. She'll probably be replaced in time, to be honest, but there you go. For the Dark Elves, we have the absolute queen of stun sets, dude. Where is she, man? Where is she? There she is. Good old Void Epic Sylar. Why is this gal so good? Dude, it's just everything she does attack all. Let me read this, man. So it's just an attack all on the A1. So that's obviously great. On the A2, attack all enemies again. Also has a chance of placing decreased accuracy debuff, which is sweet. And then we've got a place a 30% or strong version decrease speed debuff on all enemies for 2 turns, and decrease 10 meter of all enemies by 40% as well. So while I do not think, because this isn't technically an attack in on the A3, this won't have a chance to apply the stun, but still, it's fantastic wave control. Yeah, get off the A3, and then you're just spamming AoEs in between, right? Many stuns, big decrease speed, 10 meter control. Sylar, dude, she does an amazing job in the stun set. Next up with the Dark Elves, we have Mr. Warden. This is a terrible champ. Let me tell you something, dude. I don't know, like, this guy is so bad, but if you have went ahead and maxed up your Warden, or maybe took him to level 50 or something, you're like super early game, and he's helping you out in finite, because he does bring a reflect damage buff on all allies on his A3, so maybe you're using him for that as like a super early game player or something. Definitely don't take this guy up to level 60, but if you have taken him up to level 50, he can work pretty juicily indeed in a stun set, especially if you've wasted your skill bucks on him as well, and actually full invoked him up too. Then he does have an attack all enemies 1 time, reflect damage buff on a 3-turn cooldown, again if you spelled the skill bucks on Warden, which I would not recommend, by the way. But yeah, so that's pretty good. And then on the A2, he has a 4-turn cooldown, again fully booked, attack all enemies, and then place some really crappy buffs and debuffs. Like, look at this dude. This guy is not good at all, man. But he just have a couple of AoEs. If you made the mistake of taking him up to level 50, then you can at least retire him to a stun set and use him in, you know, wave content and faction wars and that kind of thing. And it won't be like a complete waste that way, you know. But my god, what is this, dude? Even fully booked, a 4-turn cooldown, 75% chance of placing weak decrease attack. Like, bro. I mean, I'm just thinking of, dude, check out Hitatsu in the Shadowkin, man. He at least has a 3-turn cooldown, 75% chance of placing strong decrease attack, and he brings the strong increased defense as well, and not the weak one. Like, what the hell is going on with Warden, man? That is a really crappy champ, but he is a stun set candidate if you did, again, make the error of taking him to 50. Hopefully not to 60. Jesus. Next up in the Undead Hordes, we have, going all the way down to the rare champs, Good old Banshee, never mind Frozen Banshee. We're going to be spotlighting Banshee in this one, frankly because she has just many attack all skills. On the A1, it's an attack all enemies with a very small chance of placing a weak version of decreased defense, which, you know what, for a rare champion, an attack, like this is a really good A1 for a rare champ. On the A2, it's another attack all, has a, I guess, bucked 65% chance of removing one random buff from each target. Dude, and this is buckable down to a 2-turn cooldown. That is insane. Honestly, man, Banshee is like sleeper, dude. She is, I wouldn't say she's OP, but she's definitely one to watch, and definitely Undead holds rare that you probably want to eventually take up to level 50 for use in a stun set and in secret rooms. She is one of the better to smack in a stun set. And then on the A3, which you can just disable if you want, if you just want to use her purely as a stun gal, right, a stun spammer. She does have the A3, attack 2 times at random, each attack with a chance of placing block active skills debuff for 1 turn, so maybe you want to leave that enabled, maybe you want to disable it. I think I'd disable it, to be honest, if I was going to stun set Banshee up and just let her go to town with the A2 and the A2 and the A1. And dude, look at her ratings, man. Like, what is this? Faction Wars 4.3? Are you joking, dude? Like, come on, man. I feel like in a stun set, this gets bumped up to like a 4.7, 4.8. She's really quite solid. I mean, if you got like a better epic champ option, of course, then she's not as good. But still, like, I think that she definitely has a role. Next up, we have the absolute S tier of stun set champions, where we're going to be just focusing again, as before, on the economy picks. I should have mentioned that sooner in the video, to be honest, but I'm trying to focus on champs that are, you know, uncommons, if any, rare champs and epics, just so that we keep it very, I think that these are like the obvious stun set champs. You don't want your most powerful champs in the game to be in a stun set. No. You want them to be as survival and tanky as possible, as fast as possible, or doing as much damage as possible. The stun set champs are kind of just, they tend to be like the B team kind of champs. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, man. So, rare champs for Demon Spawn, of course. Fellhound. We've got to start off with Fellhound, man. This is a champ again that has an attack all on his A1. Fellhound is the fastest campaign farmer in the game, so if you've got a Fellhound, you want to max him up purely for farming campaign stage 12 anyway. But if you were to happen to pull a second Fellhound, for example, you could go ahead, level that one up to 50 and just put that in a stun set, and it will do a decent amount of work for you. Sticking to the rares, we have, of course, the rare champ Abyssal, who's just another really solid pickup. It has another attack all on the A1 with a chance of placing a block buff debuff for a couple of turns, just a great stun set candidate. He does also bring a heal on his A2, which honestly, I think if you're going to disable one of his skills, I'd just go ahead and disable this one. I don't think that this heal really warrants, like, it's a 310 cooldown, 15%. Is it really going to be that impactful for you, you know? I think I'd go ahead and disable this. The A3 is pretty good. 410 cooldown, it's weak versions of increased defense and increased attack, which, I mean, is fine. You know, it's nice to have that both in one skill. But besides that, use the A3 and then just having spamming as A1 as much as possible in that stun set, and you're going to get pretty damn good value out of your Abyssal. Scooting on up to the epic champs, we've got Infernal Baroness, who is another really sweet champ to smack in a stun set. Attack all enemies on the A1, which is always great. Also heals the ally with the lowest HP for 5% of the damage she inflicts, which is lovely. On the A2, another attack all with a, 75% chance buck to placing strong decrease attack debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. Really quite excellent. And then on the A3, again, you could disable this if you wanted to, but she does place perfect veil buff on an ally, one ally, for 3 turns. I think you're better off just having her spam the A2 and the A1 if you got her in that stun set, and she is, again, just a fantastic epic quality option for the stun set. And Nazana is also another great option. There are really a lot of them in Demon Spawn, as you can well see. Attack all on the A1. She brings strong ally protection buff on all allies for 2 turns on the A2, and places shield buff on this champ for 2 turns. Shield value is equal to 40% of her max HP, so lovely. She's tanky. She brings survivability. She brings attack all and another attack all on the A3 as well, with a, again, 75% chance bucked, once again, of placing that strong version of decrease attack. So Nazana and Infernal Baroness are both just amazing candidates. And it might look like we've got quite a lot left to go, but there's actually only like 5 or 6 more champs that I'm even going to spotlight here. We're really blasting through these now, and they kind of dry up towards the end, as you're going to see. But as far as the Orc champs go, I actually don't think there are any in the Orc faction. I've heard some people make a point about Ironclad, purely because of his passive, so when healed, will attack all enemies, inflicting damage proportional to any surplus heal. damage inflicted is equal to 50% of any surplus heal. So yeah, obviously you're just trying to apply the heal on him as much as you possibly can. It is on a 110 cooldown, so of course you can't just spam a billion heals on him and have this thing triggering like crazy. It's a 110 cooldown. And yeah, you put him in a stun set, and if you can trigger this every single turn, it can work out really, really good. The first thing I thought about this was, okay, are there any continuous heal buff orcs, right? That could, yeah, just apply the continuous heal buff and let this thing be triggering like crazy at the start of every single turn Ironclad has. But there are actually 0 rare or epic orc champions in the game that have a continuous heal buff. There might be some legendaries, but that kind of defeats the purpose. I'd be curious to know if this worked with... I'm trying to think of a way that this could actually work. Is this good? Is he a good stun set candidate where you level an Ironclad up to level 50 and then try and put a healer on his team to try and get value out of this passive and get it triggering the stun set and stuff? I really can't see it. I'm throwing him in the video to throw it over to you guys a little bit with Ironclad. I don't know, dude. I can't see it personally. Next, we're going to go ahead and skip over the Skinwalkers straight into the Lizardmen because, again, like, things are getting a little bit... We're scraping the bottom of the barrel a little bit now. I will go all the way on down to Saurus and say that, look, man, if you're purely a free-to-play player and you don't spend a single penny on this game, then Saurus is an option for the stun set. He does have 2 attack all abilities, right? 2 attack all skills, so you can level him up to 50. Again, wouldn't recommend taking him up to 60. Level him up to 50, put him in the stun set, and he will provide that utility for things like your Faction Wars teams. And then moving on up to actually all the way beyond all of the rare champs, no real good candidates in there. We do have the epic champ Basilisk. Now, Basilisk is an attack style champ. He's a damage dealer first and foremost. On his A1, it's an attack all. Plays a 25% increased attack buff on this champ for 2 turns if this attack is a crit. Not a great effect, to be honest. Who cares about a 25% increased attack, man? There's 50% out there, you know? But yeah, Basilisk, if you're perhaps... Maybe you took him up to level 50 to be a damage dealer to begin with, and then you pull a better damage dealer like Slixus, who's just a far, far superior nuker, right? Brings all kinds of self-buffs before attacking all enemies, you know? Slixus, far superior lizard man epic nuker. If something like that happens and you're worried about your Basilisk becoming redundant, then you could go ahead and just smack him in a stun set and just let him spam his A1 over and over and over and over and over. And that way he'll kind of like help out a little bit with damage against waves, but still be landing the stun. Maybe that's an option. We're scraping the bottom of the barrel just a little bit here, but, you know, we're trying to get creative in this one. Next up, we have the Ogrin tribes. Everybody knows that, well, if you watch any raid videos ever, that I'm going to talk about Bellower in this one, so we'll keep it very, very short. Yeah, he has attack all on every single one of his skills. He brings decreased speed, weak version, decreased attack, decreased defense. And did I mention that every single skill is an attack all? So yeah, if you're not using Bellower, again, as a campaign farmer, then you can go ahead, smack him in a stun set, and he's going to do an incredible job for you in not just Faction Wars, but all wave-based content in the game. And a backup option would actually be Roughstone. Again, not a champ, unlike Bellower, by the way, who probably deserves to be taken up to level 60 on most accounts. Roughstone is fine to be left at level 50. I know there are actually a few people who subscribe to the channel and check the videos who have maxed up their Roughstone and they don't regret it. They have a good time with him. Fair enough, man. You know, you do you. It's an attack all on the A1. Very, very solid indeed. And on the A3, he actually has an attack one enemy, ignore some of the target's defense, but most importantly has a 50% chance of granting an extra turn if this attack is critical. So if you can actually get him in a stun set and get him with just very, very high, as close to 100% crit chance as you can, then this is another option that you can kind of just bounce between the A1 and the A3 in this way, and that can be grand. The A2 is a little bit of a target max HP destroy. Destroy target's max HP by 15% of damage inflicted, so isn't that useful if you're using Roughstone as your stun set Giga Chad? But hey man, if once again you've leveled up your Roughstone to 50 or maybe even 60 to just be a pure damage dealer, and then he kind of gets replaced and pushed out by a better option, you can retire him to a stun set and he can still do a very, very good job for you indeed. And would you believe it? Last but not least, the only champ that's like uncommon, rare, or epic out of all of these factions can be found in the Barbarians faction. Actually, if we scroll all the way down, there is an honorable mention, I guess, to be said for Zephyr Sniper. She's one that's can be taken up to level 50. You can even use her as a spider tank as well in a lifesteal set and stuff like that. So maybe you used her for that reason, right? For tanking spider. And then she's eventually sort of been pushed out by better options. Well, she's one of those uncommons that has an attack all skill on the A1, and so you can retire her once again into a stun set kind of role, stun set usage. But Soulborn Boya is just kind of like her big sister, right? once again, attack all, has an additional 25% chance of inflicting a crit, so it's quite easy to hit that 100% crit chance on Soul Bond, which is awesome. So she can help out with damage as well, a bit of a secondary nuker in her stun set too. That can work out pretty great. Her other skills are a little bit, well, just non-stun set oriented. They're both single hitters, right? She has an additional 25% chance of inflicting a crit on all of her skills, so that's good. The A2 will ignore 75% of the target's defense, so it can smack just a little bit. And on the A3, it has a chance of fully depleting the target's 10 meter. So those could be situationally either enabled or disabled, depending on what challenge you're up against with your Soul Bond. Maybe you just want to spam the A1, you know, every single wave, every single fight. Switch your brain off and just let her stun things, and that can be a way that you go. But yeah, she's definitely one of the S-tier premium stun set champs in Raid. And that is the lot of them. If I missed any, then make sure to post them down in the comments down below, man. But I think I got all of them right. All of those budget stun set wearers that, you know, newer players in particular are liable to potentially overlook a little bit. Hey, man, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. If you did enjoy, make sure to hit like. And go ahead and use code GameLeap. Why not, man? It'll give you 10 free experience brews, 1 free energy refill, and 100,000 silver. And with the endless events constantly going on in Raid, I'm sure your clanmates could use the promo code as well, man. Sure. So go ahead and share code GameLeap with the rest of your bros in the clan. Really helps to support the channel a hell of a lot, so thanks so much to anybody who does decide to do that. And, yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you all did enjoy this one, and I'm gonna catch all of y'all just a tad bit later, man.